those glasses away. That's what I need to do. In the Philippines, it's 11 p.m. Good morning, everybody, and good evening to Josh in the Philippines. I hope everybody's having a good day so far, or had one. It's going to be a little noisy today. It's going to be a little noisy today because it's Tuesday and that's trash day. There's also a lot of parrots in the neighborhood today, like more than the usual amount. So I'm going to try to ignore them from this point forward. I apologize if they disrupt the stream in some way. Mm. Wow, I'm learning so much. Nobody asked if the smoothie is weak. No. No, it's not. It's actually really good today. How you doing, Emily? Oh, I'm sorry, Josh. So yeah, congratulations, anyway. use the R from Power to be the R for Ranger. I appreciate this. Oh, also, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming. Thanks for making time. Hello, Ram. Hello, Cyber. Um, hello, Liana. Hello, Ava. What's in the cup? This is Power Ranger. A smoothie. I make a smoothie before every stream. Power Ranger. Have you just not been to a stream in a long time? Or have you not been to a stream at all? Should I be welcoming you? Should I be like giving you like a... I wish I had pins to give out. Like a first morning medley pin. Or a I haven't seen you in a long time pin. Or a consistency pin. Do you really not have any siblings, Josh? Oh, hi, Mohan. Welcome back. Whoa. You know, I almost deleted my social media this year, Power Ranger. I mean, the grass is always greener, right? The grass is always greener. I think, Rem, that I prefer having had. I mean, I've never been an only child, right? So I've only had siblings, but I think I prefer to have had siblings than to have been an only child. That's how I feel. If for no other reason than that it taught me how to deal with people maybe at a younger age than most only children learned how to deal with people, if that makes sense. Uh, Maybe communication and compromise and whatnot. I mean, everybody eventually learns those things. I just think that I got like a little bit of a leg up because I had siblings around. Ooh. Sorry. It's not the right chord, but I do like what that sounded. It's supposed to be that. This would be a really fun song to play on Halloween. Like make a little Halloween video. Sometimes I wish I didn't leave Twitter. Here's what's good. That's such a weird chord to play. Rem says, the master pianist. Ah, yikes. If I'm gonna edit your thing and just say pianist. If a pianist like you, yourself, was told to operate an organ, could you? Operate? Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to play an organ like a proper organ player. I'm just going to play an organ like I would a keyboard. I've played an organ before, and I just play it like I play keyboards, which, you know, is not how you're supposed to play an organ, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I could mess around with it. I could like play songs on it. Siblings definitely helped me break out of my social awkwardness, says Cherry Gina, because I couldn't really run away from those interactions for long. Thankfully, it was a positive experience, for sure. I can relate to that, Cherry Gina. Josh, I don't really know. If you've heard me play piano really fast, and the answer is yes. If you haven't heard me play piano really fast, Josh, then the answer is no. Because I think, yeah, I play the range of my speed in every morning medley. Mickey says spooky, scary skeletons. You know that like internet joke didn't didn't land on me the same time it landed on everybody else. I think that I only learned about the origins of that pretty late into its. I think it had actually died before I did any research on that, where it came from and whatnot. Hmm. Oh, Terrajima, are you leaving? I like that joke, Cyber. Ghost of Tsushima has a multiplayer mode on it now, but I haven't played it yet. Louis Song doing a new Ghost song every year is so good. I could almost cry, but not fully, only almost. Bless that man. His animations are so cute. Yeah, Louis is great. Louis is maybe Louis is maybe one of my friends that I'm saddest that I haven't been able to see since quarantine happened. Maybe, right? I think there's a certain few people that there's a certain few friends I have in LA that like this year I haven't seen at all. And if I'm honest, most of them it's not that I don't care, but most of them it's like it's fine, it's fine. And then some others, it's like I kind of miss them, but I know I'm gonna see them eventually. But there's a few, there's like a handful of them that's just like, man, like I felt like we were just getting into like our groove as like buddies, and then yeah, now we're out of it. Jared James says someone familiar. Louis Zong is an animator friend on YouTube. On YouTube? I mean, Louis Zong probably has YouTube. I only really look at Louis Zong's Twitter account. But I would believe that they have YouTube. I mean, they are an animator, and YouTube's probably the better place to post animations. They also make music. I think one of the main reasons that I like and am friends with Louis Zong is because we connect on a musical level. I don't really animate, although I appreciate a lot of Louis Zong's animations and like storyboard art. I personally can't make that, and so I feel like our kind of common ground is music. Hmm. Hmm. like this. I like this. Please don't let me forget this. I kind of want to make a song out of this. What is my bam bam? Uh-oh. I'm gonna act like I didn't see this part of the conversation. You know, I spent a pretty, I spent a pretty long, almost embarrassingly a long amount of time like roasting the McElroys yesterday or 2 days ago. Not because I don't like the McElroys. I actually listened to my bam bam, but I think there's like this. I don't want to get into the Bim Bam and the McElroys. I'm into animation, games, Bim Bam, so Louis really caters to everything I like. That makes sense, because Louis does a lot of those, like, Bim Bam animations. But yeah, Lindsay, as Ava says, it's a podcast. It's like episodes 300 plus are all gold. I hope somewhere down the line, when somebody's talking about me and my music, and particularly my morning medleys, somebody's like, yeah, you know, if you start at episode 300, it's pretty much all good from there. Don't worry about like watching 1 through 300 or like 1 through 290. It was kind of trash. And then like he really hit his really hit his stride somewhere around episode 300. That is fair though. That is a fair assessment of Mabim Bam. Ava, what I actually did, because I got into Mabim Bam pretty late, like a lot of people did. Sounds like a One Piece fan. Yeah, actually. What episode are they on now? I got into Mabim Bam pretty late, and so what I ended up doing was actually listening to like, I think it was like episode like 270, and I was listening to them backwards. Like I was like listening to 270, then 269, then 268, and then as new episodes would come out, I would listen to the newest episode and then keep like trailing backwards. And so I was listening to it in this weird I don't even know what word I could use to describe the timeline I was listening to, because I was listening to progressively older episodes while listening to progressively newer episodes simultaneously. And so I was doing this really big jump between like, oh, they have kids and they're married now, and they're talking about their families and they're talking about touring, to going all the way back when there was like no sponsors at all, and like, oh, now I'm up here where so and so lives in LA, now I'm back here with it was really weird. But I think that the main reason that I've listened to every episode, Ava, is because I had a lot of commuting to do during the time I got into Mabim Bam. I was doing a lot of drives between Arizona and LA, and also between LA and San Francisco. And I was also touring a lot, so I would just listen to Mabim Bam like on planes and stuff like that. I was listening to them in trains, on cabs, on cabs. So, yeah, I just needed something to fill in space and time. And then as soon as quarantine started, I kind of stopped listening to Mabim Bam. I kind of stopped listening to Mabim Bam because I was upset, and I was like, I feel like these three dudes don't possess what it's going to take to bring me out of this. And not because they're not cool, but or funny, because they are funny. But I think that I don't really relate to the McElroys as a human. I don't relate to their life and experiences. And so after a while, their comedy stopped being relatable to me and started just being kind of, I don't know. It stopped being relatable. That's it enough. The new season has ace characters, says Ava, talking about the Adventure Zone, which is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast with the McElroys and their dad. Hello, Isidora. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah. I, I don't know. I like my Bim Bam. I have like I personally have like a soft spot for Griffin McElroy, because Griffin McElroy worked at Polygon, which was a company that I was really trying to work at for a long time, and so, and he was kind of like adjacent because he lived here. You know, he lived there and he was over here a lot, so it made sense. His brothers, I kind of just got into because of him, and then I listened to the podcast. I listened to the Adventure Zone D&D podcast because it was something else by them. Um, I've since stopped as much, but they're very good. They're very good. If people if you listen to anything by them, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I never feel like I learn anything from them. I always come away from anything the McElroys do feeling empty. But like sometimes that's what you want, like a good type of empty. Sometimes you go in maybe stressed and you just wanna hear like three white dads talk about I don't know, Lin-Manuel Miranda or something. I don't know. Okay, I kind of already did the medley. I kind of already got through most of the medley, so I'm not gonna keep punching it. I have no idea what this conversation is about, but I'm sure it's great. It's about nothing. This conversation went absolutely nowhere. It's nothing. Um. Mm, mm, mm. One thing that I will say, and then now I'm going to move on from Mabim Bam and the McElroys as a whole. One thing I will say, for me personally, it's more miss than it is hit. If we're talking like hit or miss comedy, like I'll listen to an entire episode sometimes without laughing once. I'll listen to 4 episodes in a row without laughing once. I'm just kind of like, this is cool. But when you think about how often, they're putting out episodes and for how long they've been doing it, it's like, yeah, all right, it's gonna be like that. Like even like these medleys, I don't come up with like a really cool musical idea every single time I stream. Sometimes it's just like a lot of review and improv, but yeah, I mean, consistency sometimes is more important than catching lightning in a bottle. Whatever. This is the types of human beings who go on a theater to play, see that movie. Ugh. Yes, very milk toast. Sometimes milk toast is cool. I was thinking about chord extensions yesterday, because somebody was talking about them in my vicinity. I'm talking about chord extensions. And they were talking about, now I'm gonna say some stuff that's gonna be very uncomfortable for me because a lot of this has to do with music theory, like Western music theory. And so some of the stuff I say isn't really gonna make sense to me even. And it might not make sense to you because either you don't know music theory or you do know music theory and I don't know what I'm talking about, so it's not connecting. But I'm going to continue on with it anyway. When playing chords, there's all types of extensions you can add on them. Let me turn on a more sustained sound. I'm going to do the sax sound because that's fun. So here is a note. Here's 2 notes. Here's a chord. That's a chord. And you can add extensions like Lego blocks on the chord to extend the chord's harmony. So if I add another chord, that's an extension, right? It's still the same chord, but I've just added an extra on top of it to extend it. I can add another chord on top of that, or another note. You get that, or I can add another 2. I can add another one. Here. I'm gonna raise it up there. But then I can add one on top of that. I could add more, but I'm out of fingers at the moment. So, that's 1 chord. Speaking of chord extensions, I feel like I use chord extensions a lot in my chords. However, I never particularly play chords open and big like this. My chords from the first note to the last note are very rarely that far apart from one another. They're usually pushed a lot closer together. And so people will talk about adding a seventh or adding an eighth is a thing, maybe, or adding a ninth or a 10th or an 11th or a 12th or a 13th to a chord. Those are just extensions that you can add onto them. But when I think about those numbers, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm thinking of them as getting higher. I'm thinking of them as getting higher on the piano. Yeah, Mohan's like cutting up. But I think of them as getting higher up on the piano. But since I don't particularly play them like that, I never think of extensions that way. Usually when I'm playing an extension of a chord, I jumble them together. Something like this chord. So I'm playing a lot of notes, but you can even see if you look at my wrists, at my fingers. I don't have like a cool snazzy camera that can give you like a bird's eye view on this, but you can see my hands are actually overlapping, like they're not even separate. For example, my two thumbs are playing two notes that are like on either side. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm pushing them together so that the notes are actually touching. These are still extensions, but to me, it's more difficult to know exactly what extensions I'm adding because they're not moving up in a very easy to translate way. They're being shoved together, and it's all just kind of mush, So when it comes to chords, if we're talking simple chords, right, like the 3-note chords, those chords. Those chords. We're talking like simple chords like that. I very, very rarely use those in songs now. It's almost like if I'm going for a very specific sound, I will use those chords. If you listen to if you listen to the Witchy song almost exclusively uses 3-note chords. That's a 3-note chord. Which is weird because that one's not even a chord, it's just an octave, right? That whole part of the song is just the same note played in 3 different places on the piano. And so it ends where it starts, right? And then it ends where it starts, but they're all 3-note chords. It doesn't really get into the more complicated chords until later in the song, at this part of the song. And so I go. So that's a 4-note chord. In the right hand, though, not in the left hand. So it's kind of more part of the melody. Hey, what's up, Erwin? Welcome back. 4-note chord. 3-note chord. 3-note chord. This is a 4-note chord. I mean, it seems like a 3-note chord because I'm only hitting 3 notes up here, and I'm hitting a bass note. But really the bass note is just part of that chord. I've just moved it far enough away from it to where it sounds like a 3-note chord with a bass note. Hello, Jevly. Welcome back. So what I'm talking about right now, Erwin and Jevly and anybody else that either is just now joining or got lost somewhere through my convoluted explanation, is I'm talking about chord extensions, or at least trying to. Just a quick reminder, please like the video if you do like the stream. That helps me and I appreciate that. But pressing forward, as somebody that doesn't really understand a lot about music theory and specifics, when people are talking about like a perfect fifth or like an augmented this or a diminished that or a 13th or a sharp 11th, and people have all these terms for extensions on chords, you know. I don't. I know that numerically, when we're talking about extending things, you're going from left to right because that's the way we do it. You know, one would be on the left, and you know, any number greater than one would be on the right side of it. And you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way up into 13, 14, whatever. You're counting upwards. But usually, again, I'm not playing my chords so open like that. I don't know that I, in my life of playing piano, have ever played this chord like that. Now, if I try to move around some of the notes, I don't think I've played this chord in any of my songs, period. I'll move around some of this stuff and see if I can get... Okay. I can move that. Here. Ooh, I should be using this chord. And then I'll take that and I'll move that here. And I'll take this and I'll move it. That's too jumbled. It literally is almost too muddy. So I've never used this chord in any song because it's just too much. It's too convoluted. But typically, when I'm playing chords like this, which do appear in my songs, or I'm playing chords like this, which appears in a lot of my songs, those are also chord extensions. I am adding extensions to chords. The only difference is how I play them. I'm playing them really pressed together and congested and like smushed together, because it's easier for my hands to do than playing these like really big broad chords like that. It's easier for me to play them kind of tight together. But the problem for me when it comes to approaching it from a music theory angle is that it's very difficult for me to figure out what like the root or the extension or the fifth or the third of a chord is when I've like jumbled together all of the notes. It's a little hard. But in my brain, I never think of my chords as being very, or even in any way complicated. I never think of them as being complicated because I don't think of extensions. I kind of just think of the top 3 notes in a chord as a chord, and then the bottom 3 notes in the chord as a completely different chord. I never think of them as being together. Basically, though, for anybody playing piano, wanting to play more complicated chords, just throw in notes. Just throw in notes. I mean, rhyme and reason is important when playing chord progressions. But also, if you're playing a chord, just try out extra notes. And if they fit, good. If they don't worry about it. No one's hurt. There's really no risk. I mean, yeah, there's no risk. There's no risk in trying new chords. In, for example, Chaser, which I actually used in yesterday's example, Chaser, this song. So this chord here it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. How I made Chaser was I started off by bass movements. Again, something I've kind of walked through in a stream before, but when I made Chaser, I was going by bass movement. So I was taking a bass note. I was just playing isolated bass notes, and then I was trying to build chords around those bass notes. I've actually showed people how I do this in my Friday production stream. But in any bass movement, if I come up with a bass line, for example, I'll try to do a fresh one here. So if my bass line or my bass notes are let me do it simple first. So if that's just my bass line, weird notes for sure. But you can contextualize any note. So if that's my bass line, all I have to do is come up with chords that fit those bass notes. And the fun thing about bass, when I think about bass and chords, I always think about it as chords completely separate and bass is over here completely separate. So you can have one chord and several different bass notes can go with that chord to contextualize it. And the same is also true the other way around. You can have one bass note and a bunch of different chords can match that bass note to give it context. You know? So again, that's our bass line. So our first note is here. So we can come up with a bunch of different chords that can fit that bass line. We can play this chord, we can play that chord, we can play that chord, we can play that chord. There's a lot of different chords you can play. So let's choose one. I'm gonna say I'm gonna use that chord or that chord. I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna use that one. Okay, so I'm using this chord. So let me play the bass line again. So what's the second note? That's the second like sustained note. So what's a chord that can go with that one? A few, right? We have options. We can do this, that chord, which is kind of cool. We can do that chord. We can do that chord, that chord. It's more fun than I thought it was gonna be. We can do that chord, which is from Chaser. There's a lot of options, but I think I'm gonna go with. Let me listen. Ooh, I do like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that chord. Then we have our last note, which is weird and sounds completely out of key. But again, in the spirit of trying to contextualize every note, what's a chord that can go with that note? We can do that chord. 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 Let's try out some different ones. So, what was our second chord? I do like that one. It doesn't fit necessarily with the first two chords, which is annoying. I want a fourth chord in there. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so it goes. And so you put chords on top of it, right? So for Chaser, oh, thanks, Keo, yeah. I appreciate that. So for Chaser, it's so nice when it's not accompanied by the heart attack sound. um, so when coming up with chords, you can do it any order you want. Like I saw that Umbe said that Umbe starts with a main lead actually first, which is actually interesting too. Something I've also done, but Chaser's initiation was the bass notes. So it was just a bass note with me trying to add chords to it. And the second half of it was just climbing notes. If you look at what the bass is doing, climbing. Again, bass note. It's just bass movements with random, I mean, No, I'll be honest, with just random chords put over them. Did I go through a cycle of chords and maybe disqualify some that didn't seem to fit right to me and my ears? Sure. But I'm still choosing the chords at random. I'm not using some type of science or music theory in my chord choice. All I'm doing is trying to contextualize the bass note. Think of it as like a game of free association. If somebody plays a bass note and you go, well, what chord fits with that bass note? I can hit this chord, or I can hit this chord, or I can hit this chord, which is very nice, or I can hit this chord, or I can hit this chord. There's a lot of chords that you can hit with just one bass note, and so it's like free association. You pick your chord that you want to go with this note, and then pick any random other position on the piano or a place that you want to go to, and now you have a new family of chords that you can associate with this one bass note. You can play this, 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 you can play this. There's so many options. So I know music theory is a thing, and I know it's very useful because it gives you a path. It gives you a direction to walk in, and there's a lot of things you can do on this path, but it at least gives you a direction. A lot of people need a direction, or else they just don't know which way to go. I think that my approach to piano and music in general has been more of like a game of free association. I come up with a drum idea, and then I come up with bass ideas that go with that drum idea. Everything is connected to the thing that was before it. And so nothing feels too jarring. Nothing feels like, oh, I don't understand this, because everything's at least linked to something. If you think about, I always bring up the Adam Neely quote of repetition legitimizes. Sometimes something can be legitimized by itself. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, the existence of something makes it makes it valid. If you do something in a song and it sounds off or bad, just the idea of you doing it intentionally like actually validates it. And so try to think about that. Um, got an audition piece to submit, says Erwin, and the song I gotta learn is hard. Well, I have faith in you. I have faith in you. I think you'll do it. Everything's hard. Life is hard. No, for real though. I'm pretty sure you had it in the bag, Erwin. I'm in the stupid class. Thank you for doing this live stream. Thank you, Kyoya. I appreciate you. Anything you want to hear? Anything I can help you with? But, crows are wild. Okay, but back to the point that I was making. Everything is freely associated with at least one part of the song. So, it's hard to do this with my hands because I only have two hands. It would be easier if I picked an actual song. I can do this on a Friday stream. But, there are a lot of times in my songs where I will add an aspect to the song. And that aspect of the song does not does not concretely and succinctly connect with maybe some other aspects of the song. But the way I approach music, again, this is the way I approach music. I'm not saying that this is a way to make music. I'm not saying that this is how you need to do it or should do it. I'm saying the way that I approach music is I kind of daisy chain things. Anybody familiar with the term daisy chaining? Or like daisy chaining like guitar pedals or something like that? Does anybody know what I mean when I say that? Hmm. Sounds familiar because of the chain part. Well, I'll explain it really quickly. Daisy chaining, yeah, I know. So Umbe knows. Um, it's basically when you have a bunch of guitar pedals and they're all connected. They are connected in a sequence. your guitar only has one. Whoa, that's weird. I wonder if they make a guitar that has several outs on it. Anyways, guitars, to my knowledge, only have one port on them. You know, you have to plug things into your guitar, and then you can plug it into an amp. Or you can plug it into a delay pedal, and then you can plug a cord from your delay pedal into the amp. Or you could, have to go from the delay pedal to a reverb pedal to a distortion pedal to a wah-wah pedal to a talk box to a synthesizer, or the synthesizer into the amp. You can send sound, basically. And as long as it's starting at the guitar and it's ending at the amp, you're going to be able to play and hear yourself. But you can do anything in between those two. Anything you want to do. As long as you're going from the beginning guitar, end as amplifier. For me in music, a lot of times when I'm making chord progressions, making melodies, making percussive elements of a track, making vocals, making harmonies, I'm only connecting things to the thing right before it. Even when I build chords, a lot of the time, I'm only connecting notes to the note before them. So, what's a chord that I play? A chord that I play is... trying to think of a more jumbled chord. I'm gonna do this one. So that's a chord that I play. I play it every now and then. So this chord. If I just play it really quickly, it seems like a complicated chord, especially if I play it in some type of weird syncopation. But if I just play that chord, the way I'm building chords is I'm only connecting them to the note that's immediately before them. So I play this note, and then I play this note. Sounds fine together for me. Then I play this note. Sounds good. Then I play this note. I'm just connecting upwards. If I play this note together, they still sound fine. Every note kind of, even if you play them isolated, they all still sound good, but I'm still connecting them only with the note that I played before them. When it comes to what I was talking about with bass lines and chords, I'm not necessarily thinking about the way all of these chords sound and sequence together. I'm only thinking about the way this chord sounds with this bass line. Fits. Move to the next bass line. Find a new chord for that. Sure. That fits for me. That's how I'm building my songs. I'm not building it on a macro. I'm building it on a very micro level, where everything only needs to connect with the thing before it and the thing after it. And so that's why a lot of times, and I touched on this yesterday, and I said that I was going to dig into it deeper today, and here we are. That's why when it comes to those chord progressions, there are some very, very used and appreciated chord progressions. Welcome back, Shrad. Talking about chord progressions right now. So there are some very used chord progressions. A good example of one is this one. Very, very common. That's it's a very common chord progression. It's in jazz a lot. It's in rock a lot. It's in pop a lot. Not in that key, but the song "Say So" by Doja Cat uses a similar chord progression. It's very, very used, and it's so used that we can kind of already. I talked about this a little bit yesterday in the stream where I was like, you can kind of predict what's coming next if you've heard that chord progression a lot, because it is a pattern. It is a pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. Very pattern-y. This is a pattern. The 3-note chords. add notes to it. I add stuff to it, but it is a very simple chord progression. And that's because when you go up to somebody that knows music theory and has played a lot of other people's music and like knows a lot of jazz standards and pop songs, and you say I want like a 4-5-6-7 or a 4-3-1-3, in this key, they will understand because those songs, I mean, those chord progressions exist in the same family. Um, Lindsay says, do you think that kind of micro focus can make some complex progressions? I do think so. And the reason for that is, like I'm saying right now, if somebody says to play one of those chord progressions are all in the same key. If I play this, they're all in the same key, they're all in like the same chord family, and so they feel right. They feel like they belong, and it's because when you're making them, you do have a little bit of a macro of going like, okay, I can see this family of chords, so this is what I have to choose from. If you're way pulled in tight micro, like I often am when it comes to music production, you're not seeing even what key you're in, you're not seeing what sounds right, you're not seeing what logically should or shouldn't follow a chord progression. What you're instead doing is going, what chord do I like? If I'm building a song out of chords I like, I can go, well, I like this chord. And then I can say, what's another chord I like? I like this chord. That chord's fun. Let me drag it down here. And then what's another chord I like? This chord. What's another chord I like? This chord. And let me just throw in a fifth chord just to be annoying. I also like this chord. So if I wanted to play those chords after each other, I could go. Now, it's a fun chord progression, and it sounds like it works because I've played it a bunch of times in a row, but when it comes to actually going like, oh, I'm in this key or I'm in that key, those chords are not in the same key, they're not in like the same family of chords, and if you play one of the isolated chords, let's say this chord, and then you play this chord, those two don't necessarily fit in. It's like those two chords are not in the same family. Because I'm pulled in so tight, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just picking chords I like and then playing them in any old order. And once you have those chords, you can do all types of other things to help glue them. You can have a bass line that supports them. You can have a lead line that supports them. You can have a vocal melody that supports them. But if you just pick those random chords out and you're looking at it from the macro, some of those chords are going to stick out like, oh, I can't play that. That doesn't work. A lot of times, even when I'm playing leads, I will play notes that maybe don't sound great. Hold on. Garbage man's coming. Like, even think about those notes. That note, we can all agree, does not necessarily sound good with this chord. There's a lot of notes that sound good with this chord, right? But these notes do not. Doesn't match at all. This is one of those notes that does not fit. I'm just kind of passing through it, really. I'm using it as like a grace note. I'm passing through it. See how oh man, this is complicated. But see how this note doesn't work with this chord, but it works with this chord, which is the very next chord in it. If you play a lot of things, one, if you play it over and over, people will just go, ah, well, I guess that fits. And also, which is maybe even more important, if you do things to justify some of the other things you do, it's weird. It's kind of like you're trying to legitimize your own playing. So if you play a bass note that sounds maybe a little wonky or off, just change the chord to make the bass note fit. Make the bass note fit into the song. And if you're playing a chord that sounds a little weird, change the lead line to fit in with the chord. There's this huge there's this huge difference between, and it's only one note, so you'll have to maybe listen slightly close, a little closer. But there's a huge difference between this and this. I don't know if you can hear the difference between those two. I'll do it one more time, and then I'll explain what the difference is. Version 1. Version 2. So the difference is the third chord. The first two chords are the same. The third chord in the first version is this. And the third chord in the second version is this. The only thing that's changing here is my pinky from going to this note to this note. That's the only difference. If I play it a lot, it's really easy for somebody listening in to go, yes, yeah, so what? It's a very, very small difference. I don't see that being some huge, like, ruin in the song or something that can kill the song. Well, if somebody's singing on top of that song, and the melody hits one of these notes, and I'm hitting the other one that's just one note off, it can ruin that song. And I'm learning this, or not learning this, but experiencing this right now because I'm doing a remix that uses those chords. It's a very, very subtle difference, but it can ruin a song. It can ruin a song if the melody isn't supporting what the chords are. It can ruin a song if the bass isn't supporting what the chords are. Things just need to support each other. If you go in really tight into a song, and you find a note that's off, you find a note that doesn't sound right, you find a rhythmic thing that doesn't sound right, you find a snare that doesn't sound right, you can go in really tight and contextualize it in that 1 second or those 2 seconds that it exists in. You don't really have to think about it as like the whole song needs to be changed. Oh, I have to change the key of this entire song. There have been a few times where because of my lack of ability, physically, I've actually had to change a song in order to fit what I could do. Not necessarily because that's how I wanted the song to sound, but just because I didn't know how to do it any other way. A good example of this is when... Thanks, Kiyoya. A good example of this is when playing this song, I could play that song here. Oh God, how do I do it? I'm not gonna go through the whole song, but there are parts of the song that are more difficult for my hands to play, so it's easy for me to shift the notes up higher. It's just shifting things to make things fit in the context. Songs are all contextual. For me, I'm definitely not trying to mandate what a song is and what a song could be, but I'm just saying for me, songs are very, very contextual. And if something sounds off, instead of thinking that thing is wrong, think of it instead as being out of context. Nothing is wrong. I try not to think of this as being like, oh, if I'm playing like let's say I'm playing, this is going to be a really like ugly sounding example. I'm going to use Love Letters, because we've all heard that enough times that we know what it's supposed to sound like. Let's say I was playing Love Letters. Let's say instead of playing that note, what if I did? See how that sounds off? Don't think of it as being a wrong note. It's just a note. The piano doesn't have wrong notes. All it has is context. So if I'm playing this, the only reason this note sounds off is because I'm playing it with this chord. What can I change in this chord to make this note sound right? I could play this, right? See how that sounds better than this? Fits a little bit better. So if I were playing that note, I can go. You could change the entire song, but it now this note doesn't sound off. Instead of, it's all just context. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is out of tune or out of key. It's just out of context. You can make anything fit. You can make anything work. You can make a 300 BPM song work if you just stretch out the notes, right? If you think about, I hope I'm not losing anybody on this BPM talk, but like if you think about something as simple as 70 BPM, pretty slow, right? Very, very slow, like R&B feel. 70 BPM. There are ways to write an entire 140 BPM song in a 70 BPM grid, and that is done by moving the notes together, moving them closer together, because if you double time 70 doubled is 140. Everything just needs context. Nothing is ever wrong. There's not a BPM that's too fast. There isn't a note that's too out of key or too detuned. There's no chords that are played incorrectly. I don't think there's such thing actually as a bad chord or bad notes. I honestly think that everything is just contextually based in music. Any note can sound good with the right chord. Any bass note can sound good with the right chord. Any bad chord can sound good with the right melody on top of it. You can contextualize everything. And often in my songs, when I play something that doesn't work, instead of removing that thing from the table and going, oh, that was wrong, that was bad, instead of doing that, I think, how can I make that thing work in the song? Because there's plenty of times, guys, and I'm sure you've seen it when I'm playing, and I hit a wrong note, that actually improves the song, and I go, oh, well, maybe I should play that chord. And then I try to think of a way to like shoehorn that chord in the song, and then like decorate it with other notes that makes it fit, because it's just context. Also, this is pretty necessary when it comes to doing things like improv. A lot of the streams are improv, where I'll just be kind of like messing around in between songs, trying to connect different songs. One of the keys to improv, as somebody that doesn't know music theory and have like scales and modes to lean on, one of the most crucial tips I can give somebody for improv is think about music contextually instead of thinking of it as like a rigid form of theoretical choices. It's all context. So if you're playing notes that sound off or sound wrong when you're improving, it's because something else is happening that is creating a different context, you know. If I play this, it sounds off. I can make that work actually, but this sounds off. And it's up to you to go, well, do I need to change the chord to fit the note? Or do I need to change the note to fit the chord? You make the choice. But it's all context. Neither thing is wrong. Nothing is ever wrong. It's just out of context. Okay, I've beaten that dead horse. Lizzie says, are there any specific songs you can think of where some chords just sound really weird out of context? Besides Vanilla, yeah, I was gonna use Vanilla actually. Vanilla's chords just don't appear in a lot of my other songs. I don't think any chord sounds bad just played alone. Most chords to me, when I hear them, I'm saying most because I can't think of any off the top of my head, but maybe there are some. Any chord I think of sounds good, actually, to me, if I just play chords, This chord, the K-pop chord, the K-drama chord, sorry, this one, used to sound very weird to me until I started using it in chord progressions. Now it sounds fine. But I would say, if not using that as an example, which is a pretty good example, I would say maybe, wait, no. That. This indicatively like sour to me. I don't like that chord. I wouldn't start a chord progression with that. Or would I? Uh oh, here comes the trash man. That chord is kind of nasty. That's a diminished chord, says Erwin. Thank you, Erwin. I like Erwin as our like music theory regional advisor. You're like Jafar. You're like the musical Jafar. Well, I guess that sounds like an insult. Jafar was probably a bad dude, but his job wasn't bad. That's a diminished chord, says Erwin. I don't know what part of it makes it diminished. I don't know what part of it makes it diminished, but if I play this chord progression, with that chord progression, it makes that chord sound fine to me. Also that. Lindsay, I would say that chord. Oh my god. Lindsay, I would say that chord sounds pretty bad. Or weird to me. Doesn't sound restful. That's probably the best example I can come up with right now. I actually, hearing it just on its own, I don't know that I love it. I don't know that I like it. It's a really great transition chord to get from here to there. Okay, the trash looks are so annoying. Yeah, indeed, everyone. Yes, Cypher, that is the chord progression from that song. I don't know how to describe this in music theory terms, but sometimes when one chord feels uncomfortable, the resolution of it can be extra comforting. For sure, for sure. Uh, hmm. Melancholy of Trash Man. Oh, ooh. No, that would be like a very Lush Dream thing to do, is like sample the Trash Man. That might be the. John Doe talks about consonance and dissonance. Yeah, 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 yeah. Consonance and dissonance, right? Consonants. I don't know the difference between consonance and dissonance. But yes. Uh, Dissonance and then consonants. What do I say? I usually say jumbled and then chill. Oh boy. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back, Ren. I'm not super into music. I just remember from when I was in high school bands. Word up, John. Word up, John. I think what's a song that I have? There should be songs. Oh. I think having in my brain. Here's how it goes in my brain, Erwin. This is gonna be very fun because Erwin knows what they're talking about, and I do not. So in my brain, when I think of dissonance and consonance, I think of it as like wow, I guess I've never had to put a word on it. I only think of it as like an abstract feeling. But I'm going to refer to these abstract feelings now as yucky and yum. Don't yuck my yum. I think of chords as being yucky and yum. Both are great, but there's kind of you don't have to, but you typically have some yuck before the yum. It makes the yum taste better, and it makes the yuck. Oh, that's right, the second trash man. It makes the yuck more extreme. It makes the yuck more extreme. So when I'm playing something like Winter Heart, oh, enjoy your lunch, Lindsay. I'm thinking of the build-up, attention, and release. Oh, that tension. Tension is good. Tension is good. There's 2 trash men. Everyone, there's actually 4 trash men, but one of them comes around 6 a.m. So I'm usually outside when that guy comes. He's very funny. And then there's the one that comes in the stream, and then there's the other one that comes in the stream. And usually there's one more that comes after the stream if I don't go too far over my time. There's one that comes like around 11:30 noon. Whoa! Oh. Okay, we're good. Okay, so if I'm thinking about something like Winterheart. That chord progression has a long series of yucks and yums. This, to me, the first chord is a yuck chord. Just those 2 chords, to me, is tension and release. Is this true in the music theory sense? Maybe not. But to me, in the way I experience these chords, there's tension here, there's release there. Tension here, release there. Tension, release. Tension, tension, release. Tension, 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 release. That's how I think of the chord progressions. And I personally don't love going to the consonant release, whatever you want to call it, the resolution. I don't really like going there all the time. And I feel like oh my god, I feel like one of the main reasons I don't like going to resolve, for example, I'll do it with love letters. Resolution. I'm going to explain what I do in order to not resolve or to release in Winterheart after this garbage man is done doing his thing. Until then, I'm going to play the hook from Winterheart. Okay, he's leaving. It smells like cabbage for some reason. Maybe somebody threw away a lot of cabbage. Anyways, so I'm gonna play the beginning again, and we'll talk about what resolution is for me. This is Winterheart. A lot of tension. Resolution. So what I do in this song to escape the resolution is, instead of making that the last chord, I make it the first chord of a new thing. So listen closely. That's it as the last chord, but this is what I do. Sorry. So it goes I don't rest there. I don't end there. I don't allow the listener to have that, like, okay, resolution or release. Allowing them to have that would sound like this. But instead I go. Go to a completely different place. Is this resolving? Not really. And then I go from there somewhere else. That would be resolving, right? That would be the release. I would go. But instead, I go. Then I just do it again. And I do it again. Extending that, like, ending at the ending at the feel good chord. There's a lot of songs where I just go for the ending at the feel good chord. If you think about the ending of, if you think about the ending of Double Let's, right? I just ended on that nice ending chord, resolving, release, whatever you want to call it. It feels done. It feels finished. The end chord. But instead, thank you, John Doe. I appreciate that. And hello, PY. Instead of ending on that chord, I try to continue it. So that is a good example of ending on the chord. A lot of signal songs do end on the chord. Winter Heart and Love Letters are good examples of progressions that don't do that. And I can go. I could end at any time, but instead I'm just kind of running around trying to keep from going there. Resolving there, then going even lower. The song could end right there. I have ended this big long intro, and then I start the new part of the song. You get the point, though. But the best example I have of that is Winter Heart, because Winter Heart resolves there, but it keeps going. I guess it's a series of resolutions that are immediately followed by more music. It's like false resolution, which is probably not a musical term. I don't know. So, resolve, but then goes higher. Resolves again, goes lower. Resolves, then goes lower. Then does this whole downward thing. I hope I'm explaining myself somewhat comprehensively. The point is, through a lot of like expectations of the listener, there are certain chords that sound good to end on in context with the chords that you're playing. If I'm playing a bunch of chords up here, sounds good to kind of end there. No matter how long it takes me to get there. As long as I kind of end up there, it gives the people a sense of rest. If I don't end there, it feels kind of weird. If I'm playing this, and then I end there, it's like, oh, well, that's not exactly where you were supposed to end. That doesn't make me feel as restful because all of the other chords were implying a completely different end to this story. Think of it like a twist ending, right? You can play any chords knowing that the listener's going to expect, to some degree, a resolution there, whether they know it or not. And so you can deliver that, you can just go deliver that to them and allow them to be happy, or you can delay it. Which maybe makes this even more satisfying because it took you longer to get here, or you can never get there. other places, and you never quite resolve, you don't really get to the ending part. I think that I tend to do in a lot of music is either use that ending chord to start a new chord progression, or I will try to avoid that ending note as long as I can until I get to the very end of the song. Some people will also do, some people being me, I guess, also, is like, you'll play that ending chord, but just maybe move a few notes around to make it a little bit different, a little bit weird. Anyways, I hope I explained that somewhat well. PY says, Omni, do you think that studying music theory would enhance your songs or slow you down? Interesting question, PY. Those two things are not opposites of each other. So technically it could do both, PY. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that I understand exactly what you mean when you say the word slow down or even the word enhance, but I'm looking at those two things and they don't sound like opposites to me. They don't seem like the antithesis of each other. So it could enhance my songs and also slow me down. But, hello Jesse, but I'm going to answer it the way I think you mean it, which is studying music theory going to make my songs more theoretically pleasing or complex or professional sounding? Possibly. Without getting too deep, PY, into music theory and the problems with it and the good things about it and what it is and what it isn't, I will say that we as human beings have made music out to be a lot of things. We've made it out to be art. We've made it out to be an emotional expression. We've made it out to be a device for storytelling. We've made it out to be a competition, where you can be the best musician or the worst musician. We've made it out to be like a... How are you louder than the garbage truck? It's like an Amazon van. Anyways, we've made it out to be a lot of things that... I'm not going to sit here and debate whether it is or isn't those things. But what I'm going to say is that studying music theory was made to study music, right? Like, PY, you understand that. It's not like one day somebody said, I have invented music theory, and now we are all able to make music. It was the other way around. People were making music, and somebody said, I would like to come up with a mathematical way to understand all of the sounds and the relationships with each other. It came after music. So, not only was music theory made to analyze music that already existed, but it was made to analyze very specific music that already existed, if that makes sense. A lot of music theory fails in some ways to explain a lot of modern music, or even analyze maybe even electronic music. It's kind of limited in its scope, and that's not a dig or a diss at music theory. It's more so, it is what it is. If you think about it like culinary theory, like cooking theory, if you took cooking theory from hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago, it's not going to apply so much to a McDonald's large French fry, because who knows what the heck is going on in a large McDonald's French fry. So, do I think that learning music theory or studying music theory would enhance my songs? I think that it would enhance my ability to make my songs pair up well theoretically with the music that music theory was based on. So maybe a movement or a thing that Chopin did in a song, or a movement or a thing that even somebody as more recent as like Herbie Hancock did in a song, are going to make a lot more sense to me, and I'm going to be able to make music like them. I may be able to listen to something as far away from classical music as Billie Eilish and analyze it on a music theory plane, and then pull it apart and maybe even create it that way. Or, PY, I can listen to a Billie Eilish song and I can pull it apart and analyze it based off of my own personal music theory, and then still build it, and break it down the same way. No music theory, whether it's, Western music theory or Eastern music theory, or your personal music theory, PY, or my personal music theory, is superior to the other. We all are just trying to understand the world around us, and sound is part of that world, and understanding sound and its relationships. Even what I've talked about today, as far as like extending chords and the way that I micromanage my chord progressions, is a form of theory. So, do I think that learning or studying music theory, as you put it, would enhance my songs? Yes, in a direction. You can always enhance. Let's try not to think about enhancing and dehancing, if that's a word. Let's try not to think of enhancing and dehancing as positive and negative. Think of enhancement as just motion. And you can enhance in any direction you want. And if I do study music theory, it will enhance me in a very specific direction. I personally am enhancing in a direction as well. It's just not the one of traditional academic music theory. Now to answer the second part of your question, which is, do I think it would slow me down? As somebody that makes a lot of music and makes music somewhat fast, I think that music theory has a, not tendency, has an ability, or a quality about it that could both speed me up and slow me down. Right? If somebody says, for example, PY, if I'm playing in a wedding band, or if I'm playing a show, somebody comes up to me and says, hey, we're playing the song blank in the key of F. The chord progression is 3, 4, 7, 1. 3, 4, 7, 1. That's the chord progression. I could go, cool, got it, bro, and I can play with them immediately because I've studied that music theory. In this way, studying music theory would not slow me down. It would speed me up immeasurably. Because right now, if somebody came up to me and said, we're playing a song in the key of F, and we're playing a 3, 4, 7, 1, I would go, cool. And I would listen to them play, and I would like try to find where they were, and then go like, okay, I got you. And then I would be able to play. Wasting valuable time, right? So in that way, music theory can speed me up. And some other ways, music theory could slow me down. A lot of times when I'm thinking of chord progressions, I'm not really thinking about what the names of the notes are. I'm not thinking about what chord could come after that really easily or sound good. I'm not thinking about resolving all the time. I'm not thinking about a lot of these things that they teach you in traditional music theory. I'm kind of just thinking about creating what sounds good to me. And that could be a hindrance that could slow me down. Because instead, I would be trying to make the right choices instead of just choices that sounded good. So, PY, what a long answer to your question. I feel like I didn't even answer it. The first part of your question, I think that studying music theory would enhance me in a direction. And to the second part of your question, I think that I would need more context as to what you meant when you say slow me down. Because it could slow me down, and it also could speed me up, depending on the context. Ooh-wee. Wow, what a good question. I haven't had a question like that in a minute. Okay. Very well done out, PY. Thank you. Hi, Muahan. Okay, it is 10:56. The stream is usually only 2 hours long. So I'm gonna start getting to a little bit of news. Oh, we didn't talk about the music thing. Oh, well, I got so sidetracked. Yesterday I said that I was gonna talk about the music industry and how current times have influenced, hindered, affected, impacted. Pick whatever adjective you want. Sorry, pick whatever verb you want. It's been a while since English class. Pick whichever one you want. It's affected the music industry on all levels, right? It's affected it on the big level when you're talking about artists like Billie Eilish, since I brought her up earlier. It affects it on the middle level. I don't know what you guys consider metal. And it affects it on the lowest possible level. The lowest possible level being just somebody that has a guitar that wants to put songs out, but it's not their focus, it's their hobby. But they make some sort of money, our career moves from it. So it's affected everybody on all those levels. How though? So, I'm sure you guys have noticed I haven't played a show in a while. I haven't gone on tour. And I'm not alone. A lot of people haven't gone out and played shows. And that's because a lot of venues are closed. We have a pandemic right now in this country. And even if you wanted to play out of the country, stores are closed. So, that being said, how has that affected music and music consumption? Now, there were a lot of ignorant assumptions and projections at the beginning of this year as far as what exactly was going to happen with music. Some people said, well, this is going to be really good for streaming because more people are going to be trapped inside their home and they're going to be, listening to music and watching things. They're going to be working remote, which means that they can still listen to Spotify in the beauty of their own home. I said, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be bad for streaming. I was right. But I'm not going to stop there. Let me keep going. So there was also some other projections where people are like, well, since people can't go out and physically see shows, this will be really good for music releasing because a lot of people will be stuck in their homes. They could just freaking, kick them out, right? Like a single a week. They can just keep putting out music, and since everybody else is in their homes, they'll be around to hear it. They'll be plugged in. And it'll actually end up being really good for music streaming and MP3 purchasing and whatnot. You guys understand what I'm saying. The projections were supposed to be good. They said, you won't be able to play live, but I think that everything else will start to pick up. Everything else being like online streaming and sales and stuff like that. That stuff will pick up. Now, something really interesting happened, and I want to get your guys' input on this because not everybody in this stream is a musician. So I'm going to pose a question to you guys. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. My question to you guys is, when you're listening to music, would you say that this year... Oh no. Actually, no, let me reword this question. When you're listening to music, even before this year, before 2020, just in your room or whatever, on the road and during your commute, when you're listening to music, how often would you say you go back to old music because of memories connected with it? How often would you say that you go back and go like, dang, this was a mood, or like, this is when I moved out, or this was spring break, or like, this was, this song was playing on my birthday, or I remember when I saw that act at Coachella, or I remember when I was moving, I remember when this song came on the... How many of you guys go back and... Would you say that that's something that you do? I mostly avoid old music because of memories, says Jesse. Jesus Christ. So for me, I do that often. The answer is Erwin. The answer is yes, says Cyber. Feel free to keep answering this question. It's a very important question to me. But I will go on and say that music in 2020, not unilaterally, not completely across the board, but enough to be a trend. Music in 2020 has had a wild downward trend in longevity. When I say longevity, I mean songs can't stick to things. Songs are contextual. Almost all media is very contextual, guys. This is why a rollout exists. Oh, this is fun, actually. I didn't think I was going to get into rollouts in this conversation, but I kind of want to now. If you're in this stream and you're saying, Omni's getting into rollouts, please bear with me. If you're in this stream and you're saying, what the heck is a rollout? This could be good for you. This could be good information for you. In media, in the media world, everybody kind of has a rollout. Rollouts exist when you're going to promote something. If you are in the new Black Panther movie, then you're probably going to be in Korea on some Korean game show. And then you're also probably going to be on the news. You're going to be on The Daily Show. You're going to be on Conan O'Brien. You're going to have some cool thing to post on your Instagram. You're promoting your movie. There's a lot of things around this movie, and you want everybody to know. I'm going to try and get that SNL slot. I forgot that Jesse's funny. Okay. So you're rolling out, you're promoting your thing. This is true with movies, it's true with your new TV show, it's true with your new album, it's true with your new clothing line. Everybody has their own unique way of promoting something. Maybe they're on TikTok, maybe they start a weird scandal, maybe they start an internet challenge, maybe they actually have enough money and a PR to do a press junket where they get to go out and actually be on TV shows and be on things. You have to promote something because your fans are going to be waiting for it, but most people aren't. Let's be honest. Most people aren't going to be around and hear about it. If, who's somebody I like? If Kendrick Lamar came out with an album tomorrow, I would know about it. Because Kendrick Lamar is huge. He's huge. I'm just going to see it. I'm going to hear about it. Somebody's going to tweet about it. Somebody's going to post on Instagram about it. One of my friends is going to message me and be like, yo, you heard the new Kendrick? I'm going to know it happened. However, what's another artist I like? I like an artist by the name of Clipping. Does anybody know Clipping? If you don't, doesn't super matter. Also hip hop, but I really like Clipping. If Clipping comes out with a new album, I'm not going to know. The only way I'm going to know is by their rollout. If Clipping does special Instagram posts, or Clipping is on something, Clipping is performing on SNL because the new album's out, that's the only way I'm going to know that there's a new Clipping album. Because Clipping isn't as big as Kendrick, you know, where I'm just going to by osmosis know the new thing comes out. So people have a rollout. I hope I've done a pretty good job of explaining what a rollout is to people that didn't know before. It's basically planned promotion. So, that is not the only thing that keeps music and media, I'm not even going to say just music, that's not the only thing that keeps media relevant, right? A lot of other things keep media relevant. The world keeps media relevant. If you're in a new TV show and there's some cool pop-up in downtown for your TV show, it's going to help the relevance in the show. I remember when Cartoon Network did Steven Universe ice cream, you know, the like little like chocolate cat, I can't think of what it's called. Somebody in this stream I'm sure knows, but the little like ice cream. I live like 20 minutes from Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network was selling the ice cream cone. So I remember like me and a few of my friends just went up there and we got it. It was great. Another example of that is there was an ice cream theme, there was a Stranger Things themed ice cream shop in LA that was selling a bunch of like Stranger Things ice cream, and everybody was dressed up like they dressed in season 3 of Stranger Things. If you haven't seen the show, don't worry about it, but it was very tied to the show, and it helped the show. Everybody, even people that didn't necessarily see the show, were going to get this ice cream and then maybe saw the show later. LA loves themed ice creams. Cyber, I don't even have time. That'd have to be a different stream. I can get into that, but LA, like, it doesn't even have to be good ice cream. Just if it's themed, if it's like, yo, come get this charcoal black ice cream. It's so black. You have to eat the ice cream. People will line up around the block for it. People here love ice cream. I'm not going to get too deep into that. But what I will say is, this is all part of promotion, guys. These things aren't just kismet. They're not doing these things for fun. They're doing these things to inflate the brand of the thing they're promoting. Now, think about music. Think about songs. Does anybody remember... Boom, 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 boom. What was that LMFAO song about shuffling? Was it just called Shuffling? If it's called Shuffling, I'd be really mad. Oh, I swear to God. People are probably laughing at this. Oh. It was just the party rock anthem. Oh, God. My body feels tight. Okay, so anyways, think about the party rock anthem, guys, by LMFAO. Thank you, Jesse. Jesse, you're so fast. What the heck? Okay, so think about LMFAO. Remember that song? It took the world by storm. I'm not saying that to be cheesy. It literally was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song. Now, even if I didn't like LMFAO, which I did, and do, even if I didn't like LMFAO, I would have known that song because it was everywhere. People were doing shuffling videos. You go to Urban Outfitters, you hear it. You go to H&M, you hear it. You go to the mall, you hear it. You go to freaking like a burger shop, you hear it. You're outside, somebody drives by in a car, they're playing it. People are doing videos to it online. It was everywhere. And that helped that song's longevity, guys. We're still hearing this song today. I don't know, it's probably like in a Scion commercial or something like that. You're still hearing the song today because of its longevity. And we, as a human race interacting in the world, helped that song's longevity. Now, when a new Drake song comes out, it's not just the radio and the video that help that song. I know some of you, for some of you, even if it's only one of you, if one of you in the stream is thinking, no, Omni, you're talking crazy talk. It's just the video. That's what makes that song big. I'm sure Drake just pays a bunch of money and then it's on Fuse or it's on Vivo. It's not just that. We as people make that song last. We give, hello, Kid Jameson, good morning to you. We give that song longevity. And the way we give that song longevity is by interacting with it. And I don't care how you're interacting with it. Maybe you're making a meme of it. Maybe you're taking one line from a Drake song and that's your thing. That's your quote now. Maybe you're printing it on clothes. Maybe when people go to the club, that's the song that people turn up to in the club. Maybe there's a special dance to the song that people do in group. People add longevity to music all the time. It always happens. And they do it by interacting with the world around them. And I'm saying that in 2020, since the world has kind of had to take a step back and recede, music doesn't have the same longevity it once had. Even if you think of a song that was like as big and as forceful as WAP, it's it would be grossly inaccurate. It would just be a flat out lie for me to say that WAP's longevity wouldn't have been increased if we weren't in a pandemic like crisis right now. Like if we weren't out quarantining and in crisis mode, and we were actually out, and you were hearing that song at the club, and like DJs everywhere performing festivals were doing weird like flips of it and remixes of it. There was like a Jersey edit of it that people were playing at festivals. You were seeing it in videos everywhere. If that was a thing, the song's longevity would have lasted longer. And this is a song with huge money behind it, right? This is a song with hundreds of thousands of dollars of promotion and marketing behind it. And it's still not getting the longevity that it would have. Now imagine somebody that's a little bit smaller. I mean, not nobody, but somebody that's a little bit smaller, like In Love with the Ghost, or Ujiko, or Bowen, you know. Imagine those people, if they put out a song right now, it's just not going to have the same longevity, because the way we, because I'm including myself in them, the way we used to extend the life of a song is you go on tour. I release an album and I'm like, this is my Daydream album, guys. I'm going out on my Daydream tour. Here's my Daydream t-shirt. People are hearing it now. They're hearing the live version of it. And every day I'm performing it for new ears. People can listen to that album once, but if you hear it live, you're hearing it like in a live setting around a lot of other people that also like that song, other people that played or paid money to go hear this new song. It extends the life of that song. It extends the life of that album, you know. And so since the world's kind of shut down, what's happening is a lot of people are releasing albums, and people, good-natured, well-meaning people, are listening to the album. And since there's nothing to like connect it to, there's nothing that that song can attach to other than you being in your quarantined home, eating, I don't know, Chex Mix, and listening to the new, I don't know, Vince Staples album, it doesn't really connect to anything. So it's harder to stretch, you know. You kind of consume it and you're like, it was pretty good. I like these these 3 songs from the album. I'll go back and listen to those maybe. But for the most part, I'm kind of waiting for something else, I guess. There's not a new Vince Staples album, Jesse. I was just using that as an example. I'm sorry. But that's what's happening with music. That's what's happening with music right now. I'm seeing it happen to people that are at my level. I'm seeing it happen to people that are like actually on major labels, because, you know, touring and pop-ups and being out in the world does extend the life of a track. Even, and this is going to sound really weird. It's going to sound really weird, and I'm going to say that I'm going to move on, because again, we're over the 2-hour mark, but like, I'm trying not to use the word relevance, but I'm just going to use it because I'm wasting time thinking of a synonym. Relevance is helped by being perceived, sorry, it doesn't even have to be real, being perceived as physically active and tangible. If you see a photo of Taylor Swift, if you see a photo of Taylor Swift out somewhere doing things, living life, being a human being, Taylor Swift, even if you aren't a fan of Taylor Swift to some degree has moved into your brain. She has a little tiny like studio apartment somewhere in the back part of your brain where you put like W-9s and in-laws and uncles and cousins that you don't see very often. She's here somewhere, just maybe not at the forefront of your brain, but Taylor has moved in. That's important. That's important, Taylor having residence in your brain to some degree. And it's even more important to people that are smaller than Taylor Swift. Because, Taylor Swift has billboards and all types of stuff that can do that for her. For a smaller artist, for them to occupy space in the brain, they have to do a lot of like a constant rollout. They have to be out posting pictures in places you recognize with people you think you know, performing songs you've heard before. They have to kind of connect with the crowd, the audience. And in 2020, everybody, even completely disregarding performers and entertainers, everybody has had a pretty hard time connecting with each other because we're physically far apart, and also things are getting pretty rough in my country in particular. So people are having a hard time connecting, and songs just are not having the longevity they used to have. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see. Anyway, I feel like I can move on. I just really wanted to talk about that last stream, and then I got so wrapped up in stuff that I forgot to do it in this stream. Guys, I do have some music out. Some being an understatement. I have quite a bit of music out. I have an album, EP, whatever you want to call it, called Signals. It has a bunch of like beboppy jazz stuff on it. Check it out if you get a chance. Again, it's called Signals. I also have another one called it's called Tall Tales. It has a song on it called Beneath the City. Go listen to that if you get a chance. It's more experimental. I also have an EP called House of Omni, which only features collaborations that I have made with other people who have like stayed at my apartment, other artists that I've like lived in close proximity to. Kind of a more wholesome, intimate EP. Then I have the Dream series, which is a series of EPs and mixtapes and longer releases. The first one's called Nice Dream, the second one's called Love Dream, the third one's called Speed Dream, the fourth one's called Daydream, and the final one to date is called Lush Dream, and that is followed by Quick Breath, which is kind of like an R&B pop EP, and Ego Death, which is more of a ambient release. Liana says, can I just say, I worked on a series of Taylor Swift boxes last year, and I was so top secret that she would have gotten paid $1 million if the secret was leaked. Well, that is a very expensive leak. Talk about NDAs, baby. Did we get Sound 242 or did I miss it? We have not done Sound 242. Thank you for reminding me. Cyber did say something about it earlier, and then I just, it's a guitar. Ew, it's a nasty sounding one, though. I can never remember what it sounds like. It sounds so Mario to me. You know what I think that is? I think that might be... Has anybody in this stream played Guitaru Man? Guitaru Man! Has anybody played that game? Because I think that might be a chord progression from that game. And it's like wormed its way into my brain. Guys, I think it... Hold on. Is it Jesse? I think it is. And I think it's the like love song that he plays for. Do 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 do. Is it that one? I think it's just this. I think it's just these chords. These chords here. I think I started different, maybe? Maybe I don't. I don't know. Have you played the game recently? John Doe asks. John Doe, the last time I played Guitaru Man was 2010. 2010 was the last time I played that game. Yes. Sorry, 2012. Sorry, 2012. That's that's not a lie. That's honest. I do remember that. Sometimes I get confused, but it was 2012. I remember it very vividly. I do own the game. Technically, I could play it right now if I really wanted to. I just don't. But no, I haven't played it recently. I guess when I played that game in 2012, it moved into one of those one-bedroom apartments that like my W9s live in, and now it's here. Now it's moved to the forefront. You're definitely right about the chords, but my ear is rough. The songs are so catchy. I randomly find myself humming "Born to Be Blown." Oh my god, really? Listen at me having an attitude. No, that's cool. That's not the one I go to. The only song that I remember from that game is the first level. Not the first level, but like the level where you're in like the middle of like Tokyo and there's the UFOs. That song is so good. And if I'm being honest, that when as a younger me, when I played the game, I thought that the entire game was going to be populated with songs like that, and when it wasn't, I was actually upset. I was upset that every single song was a different genre because I wanted a full game that sounded like this like poppy, like basically J-pop. And then it ended up like there was like a reggae level, and there's like more of like a hair metal rock level. There's like an opera level. It was just like I commend it for being very varied, but as a kid, I wasn't open-minded enough to appreciate some of those other stages, especially the reggae one. There's like just straight up like a reggae level, and I was like, I don't want this. It's so slow. Anyways, a sequel that explored the genres a bit more would have been cool. But yeah, tight scope. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a very cool game. Just wondering, it might be kicking around in the brain if you did. Yeah, I don't know. But I do really like that chord progression. I'm a big roots reggae fan, says John Doe. Reggae occupies a very specific area for me musically. If I'm being honest, I don't love it, but there are very specific aspects of reggae that are very important to me musically. Um, Reggae, as somebody who loves like chords and harmony, reggae doesn't always surprise me when it comes to harmony and chords, but reggae has roots. Sorry, reggae is the root of a lot of genres that I do appreciate, and it would be very silly, short-sighted, and closed-minded of me to like ignore the fact that without reggae, I wouldn't have a lot of the genres that I do actively listen to. So I do essentially like reggae and what it is and what it stands for. I just wouldn't say that I personally like listen to it on a regular basis. Yeah. Jungle is amazing. Oh my god. Okay. I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. We gotta wrap things up. I did my releases. All of those releases, guys, can be heard on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon MP3, Tidal, Group, Deezer, Pandora, Napster, and YouTube. So go listen to those whenever you get a chance. They are up permanently, and since this year has been, in my opinion, a categorically bad year to release music, I have taken a bye year this year. So there's no new music this year. So the most recent release, which is Ego Death, is a 2019 release. I did have some difficulty with that. I have released music every year, for the past, I don't know, whenever I started releasing music. I've never taken a year off, and so I didn't even like the idea of like Bandcamp having like dates and there would be no 2020 date. That like bothered me, but I think I'm over it. I think I'm over it. I think I'm okay with it now. But that's all as far as like where you guys can hear the music. Thank you, Cyber, for posting the Discord. I was just about to talk about that. I'm gonna start posting the Discord on my on my Instagram. I'm gonna start posting it on my my Instagram. So if you're in the Discord, I feel like I don't need to say this because this is such a good space, and I feel like the Discord should be as chill as this space is. Just like don't be whack. If there are rules, just don't be whack. Just treat the Discord server like it's the morning medley, basically. and I am increasing my presence, whatever that means, since I used to not say anything at all. I'm increasing my presence in the Discord thing. It's usually just telling people when I'm going to get something to eat, I've realized now, so I'm going to try to vary my participation there. Nobody feels like producing now. Mission accomplished. I'm glad. I hope you have a good time producing. If you indeed do follow through with it. I have a lot of work that I need to catch up on, so I will also be producing today. This song that I'm getting ready to play now, guys, is called Hush Hour. If you want to hear it, there is a recorded version of it and a music video on my YouTube page. So go check that out if you get a chance. The music video, I think I actually might watch it again. Usually when I post videos, I don't go back and watch them, but I'm feeling kind of... Is Asia sick a thing? Asia sick sounds really offensive. I'm feeling like homesick, but specifically for Asia, if that makes sense. I'm feeling stir crazy. I wrote this song and recorded that video in Hong Kong. It's called Hush Hour. I kind of just got back from a road trip, John. Kind of. It was a trip on the road. John Doe says go camping. I really don't want to go camping while the entire forest is on fire. I think I'm going to chill. But I do appreciate your suggestions, John. I did go on a drive to see a friend. It was like for sad stuff, so I wasn't exactly like... It wasn't a great like adventure or whatever. But even going on a road trip like doesn't feel good right now. Because for me, the road... And the trip was never the part that was fun. It was always like getting to cities and being able to explore and going into cool shops and stuff like that. And right now, like, you just can't do that safely and happily. So I'm staying put for right now. And I'm okay. I'm okay, John Doe. Thank you so much for your concern. I'm okay. I think I'm just like a little like, oh man, I kind of miss touring. I think I might look at my, I think I might watch my, what's it called? What song is that? The music video where I'm in Japan? Yo, my memory's trash. Not Metrolink. Button Willow. I might look at my Button Willow music video. Maybe that'll cheer me up. Or make me sadder. Who knows? I feel like finishing up guitar and learning piano. Will I find similarities or is piano completely different? Well, Rem, as somebody that learned keyboard first and is just now digging into guitar stuff and like the way guitar chords work, guitar is weird, man. Guitar is weird in the way that, like, chords... I'm not going to play right now. That's a really good question, maybe for tomorrow's stream, Rem. But guitar chords exist differently than on piano, right? Like, a simple three-note guitar chord usually has octaves in it. So I'm trying to get better at playing guitar chords on piano the way that they would sound coming from a guitar. Because a lot of the chords I play on piano, even with the guitar sound, are impossible to actually play on a guitar. So would I say that they are similar? No. I would say that they are similar only in that they are two instruments that are polyphonic so that they can play a pretty complex array of chords, unlike something like a saxophone. And I would say that their similarities kind of end there. A lot of tonal knowledge can be taken from one to the other, but in actually playing them, the performance of them, and the theory behind the way the notes line up, it doesn't transfer too much. There's not a lot of transference there, but I can dig deeper in on that in a future stream if you want. Tim Henson from Polyphia has some clips he makes. How to make a riff, where he plays chords and leads on piano and then moves to guitar. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I do like Polyphia. Some good guitar music. Okay, we have gone over. Almost 30 minutes over. Guys, I appreciate you all so much again for having patience with me last week, during which I was away. And thank you for being supportive and socially active in the streams now that I'm back here. It is good to be back. The weather is kind of having this cool, like, I don't know, feels almost like spring. I know it's going to get hot later, but it feels almost like spring, and I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and credit that weather switch to you guys. Thank you, as always, for being respectful to me and polite to each other. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I really do. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Morning Medley number 243 as we inch our way closer to 250. Ava says it's lightly snowing here, so I'm high-key jealous. I haven't seen snow in like 7 months. I don't know. I hope it's not too bad there, Ava, though. Yeah, everybody take care. Abba.